谢谢，这是人家的统计当的。
Test.
Debo, how are you? Yeah. Me, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Tashi dile.
So
Ni nga so tan jena ko tsi shara.
now we'll start the class.
Ni chita nga so di jenda ti denta ngema ni go te tsi de yore. Ni tatri go ko tsi shulo ka tombo ti ta. Ani teni thama ni ma za ro yes.
Pantama.
Tombo de ni ni de imoma so to shai. Tombo de ni si so no to chi ra so ba. Da ka zo ni yo de ra. O te shi ba yila.
Okay, so in general, we started this class a few weeks ago. So today we are going to study the first verse and also the fifth verse.
Ni tanga so karche go to la na. So ti tanda so logyo che de ti na so karche shere la na so ke chi di chi ra che de la. Ani kyo so yin so logyo che de shere. Na so yin so na chi da so no to jang chi che de ta. Ran ta je so ma la chi di chi yu che de ge on di so no ton de yures.
So basically what we need to do, so by studying this, so we need to contemplate about these verses. We need to also kind of to contemplate and to think well about these verses in order to create happiness both for ourselves and both for others.
Tanga so di chi so ma la so ma sun che mai na da ta sun che kari na ma so ma chi bare. Chi di chi yongwa chi to dingwa chi ma yongwa ka so no tong bi chung yu ba. E de ngara so na di chi se la ta ka di chi yong du. Te sang chi tong go yore.
So basically, every sentient being, us and others, are the same in the sense that everyone is thinking only about how one can gain happiness and how one cannot meet with suffering and the causes of suffering.
Da ni di chi se ya ta doctor ta la rini le re. So chi bo so no tong a di chi doctor chi tong da rang so lo ma tong ni je sun che le pa so no tong ni di chi doctor te ni yore.
So there are two types of how one can gain happiness. So one type is one who is only think about himself and like how he can gain happiness and only think about himself during this process. And the other type is one who think about all other sentient beings in order to gain this happiness. So there are these two types of ways of how to gain happiness.
Da nga so di ke dan de jong di ke di chi doctor ta rang ni chi so lo ma yin ba. Pa je su je le pa so mo to ni rang si na chi le. Je la na tan zong ba len di no lo mo tong de den chi la chi ra ma la so lo to na ten di. Da ma yin ba la so lo to na tun do ga ri la ta nga so tong ga ma ti wa ten di chi re. To so lo pa so lo to ni ani so ke di chi ta su je je sa ni tsu le ya ke to ji je re. Je le pemba job, je le yapuche, di teni so di ki yoma katoshi cheres.
So basically this text, the method of this text is the second time, which is to think about all other sentient beings, and by that, to gain happiness for oneself. So apart from ourselves, there are 7 million people on this planet. And if we are not only considering people, so we can also think about all the different kinds of animals, which are really infinite in number. So this text, as Geshe explained, so it is through the method of thinking of how I can benefit other sentient beings, and based on that, I can gain happiness.
So, je senche la teni ronya di che dogo jense kare la na nga tsoma te mi chitso mo de yore chitso mag nyand de yore mag nyand de yola so la kare gore na ma tsoma ko so la gabache yabache tani cheba ina ani nga so la chebe yore ti ma tsoma ko so la tsagabache ya toshi to so ke che go yore.
So
nga so ani ma tsoma de yore ti tsoma ma tsoma ko nga so la chi so la tsagabache da pesho chanto tashi bile mukanga ko so la gabache ina 아니 소소를 디지 용레스.
Shangin.
뭐 쟁갱알라. 쟁갱알라.
So, okay, so basically, what is the reason behind that method? Like we talked about two methods, right? So what is the reason like behind the second method, which is to think about all other sentient beings in order to gain happiness for oneself? We can think about it in terms of that in society. So we live like based on the society that we live in. And if other people will be nice to us, will say hello, will be kind to us, so it will also be very beneficial for us and it will accomplish our own happiness.
강가서 철로진로 아니 지 놀라데 간요 연나요지 드딜라 아니 소소그 니커용게 그 마트스 총마가 소소라베 다시 딜레 고토모니 지지 무 잔도 그랑티 제트리 잔토로 지 몽볼라 페카티나 갑제레스 디디 소소라 쳬비요레스 디쳬비 용한테 동보 소소문이 제고르마도 소소 뜨리 제고하던 뇌니 팔라 너바 존주 마가바 존주 제나 단다디 용아요 마레스
Pala no pakin kan
Chala nöba tünjü çeşana, sana sözole silo nöba çeşana. Hani sıgabı çeşana. Sıgabı çeşana, paleo gabı çeşana. Gaki kuzu gabı çeşana, kalika da pay çeşana.
Okay. So yeah, so as Geshe said before, so if in our society, so people will always like be very nice to us, so we'll be very fond of it, we'll be very happy for that. And in the same manner, like we can think that if we'll only like do harm to other people, if we'll do like things that are harmful and violence like to other people, so people will not like it and it will harm us as well.
나 가서 아니 디테니 단단데 그요. 아니 손로도도 시에 디디 다 도망 가서라 지 젠라 파 가분이 버지야도 젠라 로빠제 도망 토모 수소 그 셈도 야부서 그래. 나도 생각놀라 몸부지도 생 도차세와도 또 공처세 합었다 뭐 녀도 되게 차도세 생기라 어디 비셔요래 더 도마스가 그 통시지 제고요래라다.
Okay, so in order to be able to benefit others, so basically what we need is basically first like to kind of clean our mind. And what is there in our mind? We have like all different kind of afflictions, right? Whether it's anger, attachment, and one of the most dangerous thing is the jealousy towards others. So we first need to kind of clear our mind.
근데 나서 생도 수수가 생도를 지 야보지 제마트나 손노동도지라 손노동도도 야보지 제마트나 아니 파쇼를 나서 가디나 용나 차도 기우래 용나 공조 기우래 용나 나겨 기우래 근데 그 르뇽무지 그 르드소 뉴르디타스에 기우니 아니 파쇼들 로바제 마트와도 서로바제나요 팔지 아니 뒤지치들로 라마트와 근데 레우디 아니 랑이 맞죠와도 제이 맞죠와 소마 맞죠와 되고서요레스.
Okay, so basically, if you won't be able to kind of transform our way of thinking, if you won't be able to, to change the way of thinking to a more positive one, so we won't be really able to help others. And like if others even they will like kind of help us, and if they will be very kind to us, so instead of saying thank you or something like this, we also like get out of like we'll be kind of motivated by our disturbing emotions. And will be very happy. It will also make us not happy and others not happy as well. This is how everyone will not be happy eventually.
That yoala ngazo send sozo ka send sozo ka shigo shore. Send kandi yomi sozo ka shibat yora no shibat. Di sozo ka jamji jeni joki ni bunda yipata jamji jeni shigo shore. That tandi shiuti that sen yapo mayimbati paka sen yapo da druna. 다 군이지 카테레 세야보도 쓸래나 세비자도 바이누르 세비자도 쓸래나 세야보도 이누르 군이지 드리리 일로노지 길로 아가자 야갈라더니 자마타사지나 찍거지 아가자 어디티노지레 세야보도 세비자니보도 스시치는 되게 자요 어디니 얘네 가서 세비자도 뭐제 버지니 뭐시 버지니 아니 때문에 냠추리도 뇨리도나
So yeah, so how we can like what we need to do basically is we need to examine our mind. We need to search in our mind like what kind of mind it is, whether it's like good mind or bad mind, from morning to evening. We need to be introspective with regards to what is it in my mind. And so if as much as I engage like in kind of positive way of thinking, so naturally the negative way of thinking will decrease. And also the opposite, like if I engage with a lot of negative way of thinking, the positive way of thinking will decrease. So Geshe gave the example of, I don't know really how to say it in English, like when you kind of buy thing and scale. Yeah, so it's just like that if like you put more on the positive side, so the positive side will go up and naturally the negative side will go down. So we can think about it in these terms.
다트지리 다토가 가서 아니 소소가 생의 제주 제와라 소소 소모 동고요라 랑그랑의 소모 동고 디디 당가서 롱그롱의 소로 돈이 감겨도 지리 디디 가서 드린제나 디노라 녜라 가서 소마게 감겨가 도시지 있
Okay, so having said that, so when we talk about transforming our mind, we need to look at our own mind. And what does it mean to look at our own mind? So in this context, we need to try to meditate. So today, like we'll study how to meditate.
다 아니 감전에 당가서 느리치니 지도 아빠 공부 느리치니 지답자니 되고 요레스 네 라파니 두스친 자고 요레스 네 기바티야 테스 좀무서 요레 아니 고드만디스 사무시요라 온드니스메 요느리제요 요느리제요 되게 세다다 니니 바샤니 온드리시제 되니 무게 무자와 느리치는 마찬가지 무게디 나크지모도 도와 이거 나 참바라 좋다 아니 셔드다가로 자샤 지디야게 제주지요 어디레스 느리제고레로
Okay, so basically first we will need to study what is the posture of the meditation. So the physical posture should be like that. So first, like our legs should be folded like this. And so our hands should be like kind of making like with the fingers, a circle shape, like this. And then we need to keep our back straight. We need also that our head like will bend a bit down, and from the neck, it will be like in distance of 4 fingers, like some kind of 4 inches, just like this. And then our tongue should touch the plate, but kind of in a very natural manner. And our eyes should go down, looking at the tip of the nose. So these are the instructions.
나쿠침비나 무시라 잡고다. 그러면 침비치다. 저 나쿠침보라 저다가 요번 통래. 나긴 통래. 요거도 보면 정말 나쿠침보래다. 나쿠침주래. 침시데. 나니 드리체라 제파카리는 드리치네. 소반이도 딘디디 패티스 텔라라 제잖아. 리조로도 나마레스. 하고다. 이 패티스 텔라라지. 아니 기파티에 도모치야데나 기스나 말라. 무슨 아주 겁자 제레데레 딘디나디 나이레. 디마나레스 로. 하고다. 아니 리콜런드리 제나 카리는 냐마요. 치고요레스. 검자데. 드리스 제나 고체스 자용들이 지난디 냐스나레. 디나이레. 드니 아니 아니요. 니오나 아르바 마사라 참트레스. 어떻게 쳐버레스. 주조고아티.
Okay, so what are the reasons for this kind of different postures that we just exemplified? So the reason, for example, to keep our back straight is in order to not have back pain. And the reason for doing like this kind of to keep the distance from the head to the neck in this manner is also not to fall asleep and also not to have pain in the neck.
네, 다 이제 이바도 림보 조모 제데나 레 조모 제데나 자스요라 뭔가 믹자 자스 조모야보 지니 디그레스 자야보 지니 데디 자그노롱도 야보 디그레스 자도 용 자그노롱야보 디나 아니 리라 리시용세요 리그디와다 냐 톱디비요레스 요분야 케버요레스 릴디와다
대단기 김선.
이게 점세 리치니 조모치야 되고 이제세
별로.
조모치들이 제대로 리데고 지부야보 지네데한테 스타스야보 지네 코로 롱자야보 지네 데레스 자야보 지네데나 스타그노로 롱디고라 롱디가를 베토요레스 스타그노로 야보 디오이나 리그 디와티 아니 조치라레스 리시용 디와세.
Okay, so another reason for this kind of posture is the following. So if we sit like in this certain posture, so it also helps like the veins and our blood vessels to be more relaxed kind of, and also it enables the kind of the life wind in these blood vessels to go like more easily and more relaxedly. So consequently, so it also kind of increases the body pliancy and the body kind of happiness, or like body kind of well-being, or like, yeah, a good feeling.
다 안에 드리지니 되니 다 개발지 가이르즈나 리토모야 보지니 되나 농그 신데요 살려 yap지 데토레스 농그 신다 야보 흘려지니 데토나 빙인제가 다는 것도 거기요 것도 빙인제가 아니 그 무바치라 미니 다다지니 yap지 데토레스 어디디 빙인제 쪽지야 기쁘지레스.
Okay, so we just said about like the body posture and how it affects our body. And so since it will affect our body like very well, like in terms of it will make it like more relaxed. So consequently, so it will make also our mind also much more relaxed. And our mind having became much more relaxed, so it will really be helpful for us to develop concentration. So if our mind is relaxed, so the concentration will easily arise and we'll be able to focus like more clearly and more easily on a certain object.
다더니 근데 그 제주 상유를 다 제주 타마지 단다 지다 아니 소소들이 지금 야버지 되어 있나 뭐젬바 같다요 아 가버지요 대버지요 리얼레스 이디 뭐젬바고 소소가오 근데 그거니 거야 버저도 사가고 대버지나 젠코로로 기와치 사드라 어떻게 쳐버려레스 뭐젬기 디나 배 토디 야버 어디 쳐버선바티레스.
Okay, so we talked about kind of two characteristics of this meditative posture, and we talked about like how it affects our body and like in terms of the blood vessels and the wind. We talked about how it affects our mind and also like the concentration. And now the third one is not really related to us directly, but to others. So for example, if you are sitting in this posture, so when others are coming and seeing us, it is kind of impressing them in the sense that they will like kind of be fond of like seeing this, also like be inspired and kind of generating faith. And having generating faith, it will also like help them to accumulate virtue. So this is like the third characteristic.
다더니 다 리그 데토트레 이게 리그 데토티 제니 리그 데토 단다노지 제니 아버지네 데니들 지주 예서요레 드라로 데니 데니 당가서 생각 가르쳐 버려지네 다 우리 통과져 버려라.
So now we talked about the physical posture mainly. So we talked about basically 8 kind of characteristics of the physical posture. So now having put our body in this way, so what we need to do with our mind, this is what we need to ask. So what we need to do with our mind is first, like we need to concentrate on the breath and to count, like kind of doing a breath counting.
다더니 니 롱도 나서 나코노네 마 위드마 안로 아니 요야 그만종 게더니 그거지니 야 근데지니 진 대직서 근데지니 안로 니서 근데벨라 저치베 대요 카가 지니 성제 마토 라반노의 진리지니 마토 생거 롱코로 성노도네 어든지니 지치정 그래라.
Okay, so what is the instruction of doing this kind of breath counting meditation? So what we need to do is we need to visualize our breath as a thread, kind of like as a thread that is going out of our nostrils, going down and then going up. So we imagine it, and when it goes down, so this leg goes down, then it goes up, this is one. Then it goes another time, why? Then it goes down another one, then it goes up, this is like the second time. So in total, we need to count 11. And how we need to count, it's not like we need to count in terms of like kind of counting with our fingers or something like this. So like from our mouth, like literally to speak, we just need to focus it in our mind, in our own mind. We need to concentrate on the counting.
다 근데지니 우리 동가도나 세네 페도요 바데 야가근 기파 노베이니 노베이니가 나서 어디 틱콕 송이래라 그거 정도가 저자와 네 저자와요 어디노나 다나 기파 노베이니가 송이래라.
Okay, so about this counting breathing meditation, so the benefits of it is being discussed by Master Vasubandhu in the Root Abhidharma. Is that the name, Andrew? Root Abhidharma?
Oh, the Abhidharma is Abhidharma Kosha.
Abhidharma question maybe?
Yeah.
Sawa.
Yeah.
So Abhidharma, yeah, this is being discussed by Vasubandhu, by Master Vasubandhu.
Abhidharma question is not me though.
Like, okay, Abhidharma question, right?
That's Vasudama. Basi
Vasubandhu.
Basi Benda
Vasubandhu.
Basi Benda
Yeah.
Lobini.
Vasubandhu. Ngonsozo tanzu tsawa.
Abhidharma Koshika.
Abhidharma question. Okay.
Tino, tanda wei tonga joni sin huluchia ta kogute somsha losra. Lobini takate.
Okay.
Tangazo tandijini tonga joni kibon ani nyomo suzo gele nyomo kiuti nyomo riri le kate jani ndogo shores. Tati jima tada ngazo ndach de ukozina ndela jini gopta jindo ol ma shegdo. Ti tatari ngazo karazina wi tadi jini sono toni nokton ramada chikiore. 더 매바소에 제대로다. 다당아서 리진 데스 거마치니스 가서 동가자 이 수수가 리진 데네 위 아니 지금이 저치기보다 동가자로 지라 리진데. 저도 리진 데마도나 수수 고다 리포디 니 리테티야 도무치스. 오더 딱 갑자기 데나 가리나 쳐볼게요 말. 라반도스 지라.
Seseorang papsu.
수도 갑자기 데려 난티시. 다 리포디 기바인시도 도무치. 근데 수반들이 파테스테 네 놓으시네. 어떠신 자식이 나고는 마 또요 나 드리지 않아 그런 남자지 말씀 우리까지 인도시오나 디노지지야 대바대 어디 디지지 강하다.
Okay, so basically in general, so for each kind of disturbing emotion, there is its opposite, it's kind of its remedy or its opponent. But we are not going to discuss about it now. So mainly this kind of breathing meditation is being considered as the opponent, as the opposite, as the antidote of what we call the conceptual thinking. The conceptual thinking, but in this sense, it's like kind of more of the negative conceptual thinking, which in Tibetan is namtok. There is like kind of difference between just conceptual thinking and kind of conceptual thinking that it's negative in a sense. So this kind of breathing meditation, like when we count the breath, this is in order like to be antidote for this kind of disturbing emotion. So now we are going to practice it. And how we are going to practice it? So we can sit on whether if we want to sit on a chair, if we want to sit like this, it's okay. And basically the main point is to keep our back straight and that will feel comfortable. And also like in terms of our breathing, so yeah, we don't need like to do it very kind of superficial, like in terms of that we need like to, not superficial, sorry, artificial. That we need like to breathe like very, something like this. Like we need to do it very relaxedly and it's in a like kind of natural state. So this is what we're going to practice now up until 11.
저는 가서 던지진 저식 좀 가자 이라. 로스 스스 좀 가자. 저러 고고고고 소소소 그 생각은 좀 가자. 샘다 다지 위마도 또야 레서 텔라 샘테니. 제가 거의 마튼 티치볼라 샘테니. 정가도 생각은 다 지레서 다니레서 다서레서 어디 선로도 지지 동셔다.
Okay, so what we're going to do is that each one will count like his own breaths. So yeah, this is what we need to do, and we need just like to see like one going down, one going up, 1, 2, 3. This is the only thing that our mind should be concentrated at right now.
One down, or each.
One down, one up.
Exhale is one.
1.
마 찡도 야 찡도 알아. 들이 크바다로 쓰시나. 니는 with 만드라 니 야드라 텔라직.
Yeah, so one goes down, one goes up, like as we said, like we kind of imagine it as kind of a thread. So this is one.
Is it shamatha meditation?
The shine gom rebe.
검ret.
The shine gom.
아,
The shine gom rebe.
신나 검라더라.
The shine.
신이.
The shine gom rebe. Shine.
No,
Shine.
shamatha.
그러다.
대신에 지기를
신아이.
대신에 지기를
아, 르르르르디. 시고레스디. 디시와 이나라. 디아버지 시바이나 생라니 흘러 참 켜버쇼 요레스. 신이 거브레스.
Shine.
예, c'est quand
Shine. Hagushi.
Shine.
Oh, natane.
샤리도 시자 신 나사네. 신이 라메.
Mare gom.
So shamatha is for the
Jini.
foreigners.
Jini gala, Jini go, Jini go. Yes, yes. Jini go race, that the Kalili dona ko Jini go chana. Simba, Jini zeta to nadare. Senchuo panda de gazura. The Jini, se no la niket, Tagaro, Chibarella. Jini go bare.
Sen parla dotu aninga sur.
Sosokos, Nazo, Jini zea que je to de ignore, je mi la. Ta je zea de garish gorilla. Sosok, Nazo send the chulo pancho de res, Casa calendar de. Josundi Jagar de the Sambata Sosok pile de res. Don't at the pa Jini. Sosok sen no, Sosoka, you send the Tino Nito, or the je ni de. Tana, and if we go out to Jini goes on Dorella.
So yeah, basically it's considered as like a shamatha meditation. In Tibetan is shina. So slowly, if you practice it, it will be like, yeah, like kind of a shamatha meditation. So basically, what does it mean, shamatha meditation? Basically, I don't know to say like the etymology in English, like shamatha, I don't know the etymology of it, but in Tibetan is shi, ne. So shi is kind of to pacify, kind of to peace. So what does it mean by that kind of syllable? It means that when our mind like is going like kind of everywhere, so we bring it like we kind of pacify it and bring it back. And then ne is like kind of to abide. So it means that we are like kind of making the mind abide. Like in this context, on a certain object, it didn't say directly, but I guess that it will be okay to say it.
나서 마라톤디가 나서 소만되는 kumba치금 되대요라. 롬치금 kumba치금 되. 셈바든 가서 소마게 되는 대로체 말에. 거의는 아른로샤이래. 거의는 까지 소소소 겪었더니 초로 판로샤 심도. 데데 제니 되기들 초로 판로게도 바카니. 아니 소소 노리요 노지 심디 노라 데나. 노라 니토나 나노라 니요라. 세 노라 니토바다 제니. 파쇼도 제니 츠니. 제니라. 다도 되게서.
Yeah, so basically now, for example, we are all in this room, right? Like we are all sitting in this room together. But for example, I am from Israel, so like my mind, when I try to meditate, will always like go to Israel. Or like he's from America, so his mind, when he's trying to meditate, will go like directly to America. So basically, what does it mean in this context? It means that, for example, if you think about like this house, so we think that our mind like is the example for it, it is going for outside, like for outside object. So we kind of pacify it and kind of bring it back here. This is like the she, like kind of to pacify. So we bring it back here. And also like ne is like mean to abide, just like kind of to sit here. So this is like the ne, like which is like to abide here. So like to pacify, like all the kind of, yeah, like going outside and everywhere, and like to stay and abide like kind of in a stable manner here. This is the meaning.
이제만 좋아요나.
There is another question.
No. 그러니까.
Okay, so now to meditate.
지치리 좀 가져 스스로 상황입니다.
Okay, so up until 11, each one is thinking and focusing on that, counting until 11.
아니 단다디 동가 지치 든디 노아디가 소소 그 생각노라 지금 노또 남다 대대지라 지금 선sol로 지소소가 가버쟁게디 대래 선도 소소로 막가게 쟁게게 다우도 생각노 대우르 선도지 사자도 든디 남다 소마 대우르 대대오데 생도 튼도라 생각노다 마다게질레 생도 튼도 생도 튼이 드니 갑잖아에 자마타와 아니 지 로교체나에 자마타와 아니 지 니나이 냐마크라 근데 가면 뭐무실래 되레스 또 소마다 단다 되게 가다 자더레스 띠용 티치 테니가도 용어요마다 왜냐면 봐 저기 자체 근데 들어이나 이 자터가 자체가 나로로 이치요 나로로 근데 이제 내게 지라
Okay. So basically now we counted up breath, right? Like we did this kind of meditation. And yes, so very naturally and very immediately, what will happen is it will have this kind of conceptual thought. If you have like a better translation for Namto, so you can tell me, but
Discursive thoughts.
yeah, discursive thoughts, this kind of conceptual thoughts we have, and it will like kind of immediately go to our loved ones, to our dear ones, or like for the other side, it will go like for the people that we are kind of hate or like our enemies. So this is immediately where our mind goes. So our mind having gone to this kind of outer objects, so it makes our mind very disturbed and like very unquiet. And when our mind is very unquiet, so it's very hard for us to concentrate, whether it's like we are meditating, whether it's we are sleeping, whether it's we are studying. It will make it very difficult for us to make this kind of actions. So this kind of meditation is the opponent, is the remedy, is the antidote for this kind of discursive thoughts and this kind of conceptual thinking. So Geshe, what he's saying is he's saying that he has like very great belief that this kind of meditation can really help in order to kind of be opponent to this conceptual thinking.
나도 가서 가도 가고 디체트를 용 조방하고 같이 지바당 이제도 제가 나봐 디바로야 롱니 딜로 투나 디야롱 더니 수수트 동바수트 자츠야 보시 길로츠 좀마게 아니 샤츠 좀마서 드리지니 나보 롱니 거토나 셈도 디 생컴도 셈도 좀마야 보요레스 어디게 잡을 요레스
Samdup?
세 좀마요레스 나보 셈들라 가서 데스 제진용어요라 니마치 리카데 군달라 담다 게지 테고레 나보 조바 나보 그 셈도 데스 야고요레스 세시보 서보
Okay.
서주루바 세아디요레스
So yeah, I forgot to translate another thing, like Geshe said before, is that if we do it only, for example, just one or twice, it's not going to help like for the long run. We need really to be consistent and not to do it like only once and twice. We need to do it like every day. And if you're doing it every day, so as Geshe said, he has like this kind of belief, he has like this kind of trust that it can really help, in order to be opponent or a remedy for this kind of conceptual thinking. So now speaking in terms of time, like what time we should do this kind of meditation. So the best time, it's during the morning time. So, thank you. So morning time, for example, so we can wake up very early. So we can organize our bed, we can wash our face, we can brush our teeth and clean our room and then to meditate. And what are the advantages? In this kind of, in this time, the advantage is that during the morning time, our mind is kind of very clean. Because for example, during the evening time, so our mind is like kind of remembering and is like kind of thinking about all different things, like all like what we have today and so forth. So in the morning, our mind is much more clean and calm.
다더니 동본에 가서 예рем보 지니 드니 거나 데스 야브레 마레라 리리 칼리 칼레 아니 셈데 야바 차타마 데데 동본 가서 생거지 세거니 드니로 파세 누파치를 드니 잘라치를 셈데니 세거치 데드다 드니 세거니스 드니 칼리 코마치 드니 코마니 아니 치세치 드니 칼리 니마리 야 레리 토마토 토마네 페 제르베데나 드니 칼리 카니 지만에 거니 마트와 드니 창르시 이 셈들 요모 넬라우셔니 아니 지마칼리는 조초 요마토 창르레스 이 토모 세거치니 드니 코마치 드니 코마니 사트데칼리 칼리 셈데 드니 자치리 치리 동거레라
So in terms of the duration of our meditation, it also should be in accordance to our capabilities. So for example, for us beginners, so what we should do basically is that at first, like if we are beginners, so we should make the duration of the meditation like very short. Can be also like 1 second, 2 seconds, not more than that. We can choose like one object that we'll focus on. We should do it like 1 second, 2 seconds, and so forth. Because if, for example, if we try to meditate for 1 hour, like on a certain object, so it makes both our body and both our mind, like we kind of make them unwell or not good. So this is the reason that first we need to do it like very small amount of time, and then like after a while we can increase the period of time in which you are meditating, like from 1 second like to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and so forth. Just a second, I just finish and then you can ask. So basically, what is the reason? The reason is that if we are doing like such a long period of time, so what will happen is that naturally our mind like will go like very not fond of doing meditation. Will be like kind of averse, like we'll develop kind of aversion from doing meditation if we do it like for such a long period of time. Yes.
What
Yeah.
exactly does it mean concentrating the object? Does it mean emotion or physical object? What is the object?
What does it mean to concentrate on the object?
Object, yeah, the breath.
So what does it mean to concentrate on an object?
Yeah.
אני מגבלה, sense 식도 내봤대 돈다 카르.
무발라서 찍도 무바디. 당가서 딩인제 걸로도 딜레 그랬어. 당가서 건저서 소 딩인제 그 무바데. 무바페 당가서 다 잘라 제발 마마다 당가서 거기 거서 나코는 왜 동지와. 호텔을 못해 그랬어. 딜레 무바 딜레 무데 코로나 마도 제바촌이 선 마셔. 저도 다요 뉴모 제바 카트잖아 무바만다 만다 레리. 당가서 거서 바바 무바 찍. 나코는 마 부동. 아니야, 데 호텔을 무가네. Okay,
so what Geshe said is that basically in the context of concentration, so what we need to do is that we need to focus on one certain object. For example, in this meditation, so we focused on the breath, right? So by having done that, so we should focus only on the breath and not on any other object. This is like the only object that we should be concentrated on. If it's like other meditation, as Geshe kind of mentioned before, there are meditations for a kind of counteracting a lot of other disturbing emotions. So we'll have other kind of techniques or other kind of focal objects on which we'll place our mind on. But in this context, Geshe gave the example of just focusing on a breath and not on any other object. Okay, like for.
Can you try to use a microphone so
yeah.
you can also hear us?
이놈 말로는 네 철로디 듣고 말아 이놈 왜
Allez.
이놈 말로 봐봐지
Is it possible to do meditation also when I'm like doing something like walking or playing music? Is there like, is it more good thing that it will bring to me, or it's like not a good meditation when I'm walking, or for me it's like for when I'm playing music or running or whatever it will be.
Okay. So ani parang kasi nga kompagyapi ni nedja yang menan nga shetong ni nedja ani kantar ani ninter gichawa tetso ani checking ani gom gyap sigire pe te tangpore ani nika ani nipata ani te pento yo me te kare.
대여 따라 그 검도 단당가서 시와티 검들 니 열이라 그래. 그 느리 지는 뭐 빠질 문이 돼야 거지. 아니 거기가도 단티 지키딩 시행하더라. 제버지 아니야. 제검세지. 거야시도 들이. 된 로전도 이제 검는들이 이제 당게 검는 리카체기지 가르치나 거 검나요. 강아지열이. 제검세지. 대 나티 보람지니 마시고다.
Okay, so exactly, Geshe said, exactly in the sense that you're right, kind of. So basically what Geshe said is that, like there are two kinds of meditation. There is one meditation which we can call stabilization meditation, which we are kind of focused on one object, just as we did now. And there is other meditation, which is, Geshe said that it is like the supreme one, which is the analyzation meditation. Analytical meditation, sorry. So in this meditation, like we can do like whatever we are doing in our daily life, we can kind of combining together this kind of analytical meditation. And Geshe is going to explain it a bit later. But basically, it means that we kind of examining or we kind of investigating. This is the meaning.
배나 나 비지셔라. 님데 속님은 가서 냠도 영계 그 뭐지 비지자 셔라. 가서 냠도 다다는 영계지도. 되게 리가 제게 거죠. 받아 비지자는 거 줄을 셔라.
Each.
비.
Ah, okay. So now Geshe is going to give an example of like doing a certain
가서
thing.
님은
And
영계. 님은 영계라.
Jungian.
니 소파 가서 냠도 영계.
Jungian.
여봐. 가서 니 냠도 여봐.
Mm.
너 냠도 여봐 그 뭐지 가 줄을 비자 셔라. Começa. Ale tanga sondinola pena cola riga. Ko kati ni leaders ina ko semba kundriche dena ko semba goya pleto kari na ko ti gobres. Ina likache dere.
Okay, so sorry. So Geshe said that we're going to give an example of one which is in the same room with us. So he gave an example which is like weaving,
Knitting.
knitting, sorry.
Ko pilares ko diri likache we ko semba ya pleto udlosane. Ti ko chaba yores ko tagaro re. Kazanga tombo kyo dilla de karche illa di. Ko tindi dil lapa de likache we na semba ya pleto udlosa. Ti chaba yores ko tagaro re. Ni ko gje anu je likache lijal so computer lijal and some ton yores.
Okay, so for example, Geshe just gave the example of Vika, which is knitting, like doing classes. And he also went one time to Vika and he asked, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And then Vika said that it kind of helped her, like kind of bring her like positive mind, right? Like, so this is an example that Geshe gave. So with relation to your question, so this is, like kind of any activity that we are doing, we can also meditate doing this kind of activity.
다 가서 들어와. 니 검들라 동보ten 가서 위트리 상노토한테 제니 검바레스. 더니 제만 도저 거와도 실험 개발체로 하더래. 실험 가서 검라 실험 것도 제니 검니래. 이거 실험진 하고서 실험진 로연 개발체 게지로. 아니 개발을 티 거도 니시치야 여레스. 이나 콜로로파데 제니 토로파요. 아니 가서지나 제가 zon더스 군님도 고셔래. 이노니 that goes nipa chia yakshirota geberchini gawadres.
So Geshe said there are two kinds of meditation, right? The shamatha meditation or the stabilization meditation, which we just focus our mind on a certain object, and another meditation, which is also just like kind of wisdom meditation. Wisdom meditation is like a meditation in which we are differentiating or examining or investigating. And Geshe says that this is like kind of the best meditation. This is like, it has like the much more strong effect or like much more stronger meditation. And of course, we also need the Shinegom. We also need the stabilization meditation for it. And it kind of supports each other. Like if we have like the stabilization meditation, it kind of supports the wisdom meditation.
So, also English first. So when meditating in Shine, how do you increase the clarity of the object? So Shine 공갑수 간절히 selwa 당와 이야기 쪽이래.
Kati yerjindorelara.
Tiyo selwa, the selwa gicha, 당와 gicha 간절히.
Da jinika kola chechu niyores. Ko le sari chachi tong. Nipala nivicha. Sachachi tong nichachi niyor. Da ni nicha zeyato mazondri chilo chala chilo muwa ina pena ngasoina mochiata ta jawaram bachinda sono tongro. Jawaram bachinda sono to ko so tomo pa chaso jawaram bachika chi ngoli kongla tsoma la sono tomare. Jawaram bachika wonda chi sono to tela nipa cha. Tela pa nipa chawti ini je ni kumbala pa jembala sono to. Dini tasola yabo niure ni je ni jawaram bachika 다 송, 갈럽 송, 살지. 대 옆에 차지기 되니 제니 다 니칼리 파파파파 제나 코스 차지 레오레스. 칼리 겁나서 샬레오. 다 서찰레 그 무근들이 커플러즈야 다서 많이 봐. 소소 그 생각노 자르 버체 세기들에 탈리비 그 대파 년마다 정말 샤오데 서차트니 진이 두고 요레스. 칼리 두고 요레스. 니차도 서차. 거기서 서차도 니차. 니차로나 그 템포 니에 되도록. 무바치가 템포 니도록. Sachala na ngaso logic bana simon thongra ti no ji ko sono to re losa ni ji sa lai na lama in tasu zo gabja te pe lo ba no ji pe sati shalong ki go res di kali dogo le ma to tombo ni le to res kali tagi ngalam ba kachachi kachani kachasa ko ma chi tri chi do do ina ko kali le to res losa ni yo yo mare
Okay, so in meditation, so there's like kind of the two aspects. One is the aspect of clarity, and one aspect is the aspect of stabilization. So the question of Andrew was more related to the aspect of clarity. So if you're meditating on our lama or like on any other object, so slowly, if we develop this meditation, so the aspect of clarity will increase more and more. So as Geshe also said before, it's not that like we can immediately like have an immense kind of development in this. We should first like meditate 1 second, 2 seconds, so forth, up until like we develop this kind of aspect of clarity of the object.
Ni pate sacha yongala ichimi chi soso ka gamcha ka yorji yora ta gamsa pena jawar ma chinda chilo muni ganyona tika ni jumse to yote ta to so yoni yong da sazo kebar chi gore la kebar mombo cheba ina ko paso ta shi chiri lo wala ko shi chiri le tsale woti ani ko siri hako yore la
And also from another perspective, so we have the object of meditation. So for example, if we are meditating on His Holiness Dalai Lama, so while meditating, so we can also be assisted by reasoning, like by kind of differentiating or like examining or like what is it and what is not. And by employing this kind of reasoning and this kind of investigation of the object itself, so in turn, the object is like kind of become like more strong and yeah, like we can focus the Shucharu Jone.
ko jumse mombo thong ina lo de shi chiri na paso mu pa yer jira the tambo level ko so ko lo ma merci pour point del genre je sabato del sa cha de dire ni chile de
Okay, so yeah, the clarity, Vincent, will you make sorry. So yeah, when we're meditating, so by employing the reasoning, so kind of our mind is becoming more stronger and stronger, and in turn, like the object kind of comes to our mind like more clear. It affects like the aspect of clarity of the object of meditation.
Nino yunge la keja tike yo la Nino the tato yunge ma keja tike yo twa tike yo la
Okay, so also so also those who are online, if you have any questions, so you can raise a question. Yeah, any comment.
So if we start at just a few seconds.
Just a second. Who's down? Very just never mind. Sorry.
So if we start at just a few seconds, how do we decide when to increase the amount of meditation time?
If we started just before a second.
Just a few seconds, we start with a few seconds, okay, but how do I decide when do I increase to 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, etc.
Ani pernah ngato ani letan ko ina ani pernah ni nye gongi tuyunte ni karma karcha ngama to mare ina ani pernah karcha ngale ani te tuyunte cheru doa nga kanya na kanjes ani takche chetugire te na chetu giyome na kanjes takche
tapi so ga kate gapto no ta goresi wa tri choro kacha chi de thona kacha nga de thona da sekar nga de thona da chu soni sekatri de to ta goresi wa sekatri de matona talapa shi joni de log pa shi ke jona sekatri de to ge chang goresi Denis this honey de no choro sekar de to ta goresi thona sekar de pa shi jo matona yo sekatri no ma sa de 어떤지 지니 칼리 고고레 마토 용해마지. 리 용세가가 마토 데마토 사트니 데데나 아니 코야 열기도요 마라. 나서도 이기지도 아직바래. 리 이게 지시나 선인이시도 다모지. 선인이시나 노니 서시도 다모지. 어떻게 지니 시죠. 어떻게나 칼리 야차잘레레라.
Okay, so basically one need to examine like with himself, like with his own like mind, what his capability is. For example, if you're meditating for 5 seconds, so then after a while you need to see whether you can move on to 6 seconds. So if you move on to 6 seconds, so then you need to see like whether like in that six seconds, like whether you have this capability of meditating or not. Like you need kind of to how should I say, kind of to force yourself, like to examine yourself, like whether you have this ability to meditate for these 6 seconds or not. If not, so you can come back like for 5 seconds. If you have this capability, so you can move on to the 6 seconds and so forth. Like for the 7 seconds, like you can see whether you have this capacity or not. And if you can like kind of exert yourself like towards like the 7 seconds, so you should do that. And if not, you should just stay in the 6 or 5 seconds. And also it's just like with studying, right? So for example, if we study a word, so after studying like 2 words, so we'll be able to study 3 words and so forth. And we also need like to slowly try to develop it and try to increase the duration of the time of meditation, because if we just stay in 5 second meditation, so we cannot develop. So we need to slowly kind of to increase the time of, yes.
How do you know if it's not working though? Because we can all sit for 10 seconds, right? But we could push ourselves and sit longer. So how do you know, oh, I went too far, or I'm taking too much time?
아니 나서 karena ani tantan nga ani gome gepegi tuyunte rincha gi mina kandes hakutubira te rincha gi yo mena kandes hakutubira.
아니 결혼 레타 요미요테 수소가 생각 마셔 물바들 야버지니 니 터도 못 했다 그랬어. 그동안 소텔라 계정인 소 그래. 물바 아니 템바 젠도 아지도 물바 마제와 지도 그래. 근데 물바 철로 열로 알아. 시식이 잘하지 봐서 니요 그래. 근데 결혼 세 물바실로 문이 같이 데토나 아니 물바실로 문이 세철로 마셔네 물바 데토이나 결혼 같이 데토나 딘 게요 말해서. 다 센출로 파셔데니 이나코요 니소죠 갈릴리제 용요 소노토나마토 고제레데 토시오 말해라 이 교로그 감자위 거서 무발라 따쇼스 또 무발라 따로도 뭐데 드니 릴레 칼리메 센레 칼리메나 아니 교로레 같이 데토나 듣는 거요 말해라 아니 때 무발라 야포지 마데 아니 센레 칼리테 릴레 칼리테나 아니 니 소죠 그래스 용사드고 그래스.
Okay. So basically what Geshe said is we need to examine whether our mind can stay like to abide on this object or not, like to stay focused on this object or not. So for example, if you take, for example, 5 seconds of meditation. So we meditate for 5 seconds. And then like we need to see whether like our mind can rest on the object like for 6 seconds or not. So there are two aspects of the manner in which our mind should be concentrate on an object. So one aspect is that our mind should kind of not forget in the object, or like to stay mindful on the object. This is one aspect. Second aspect is that our mind should not go everywhere like outside and like being very scattered and being very agitated. So these two aspects we need to keep doing our meditation of concentration. So if we can make sure that while we are meditating we don't have like these two aspects, that we are like very scattered or like that we forget the object, and also that our mind and body both like don't have like a lot of difficulties during the meditation. So we can say that, yeah, it's okay, like there's no problem, I can meditate for this duration of time. If we have, so we need to take a rest. We need like, if we meditate for, let's just take a period of time for 10 minutes, and then we say like that, now it's too much, now my mind cannot concentrate very well, so we need to rest a bit, and then we can meditate once more.
나가서 던리컬로 지니 딩이제 거거슬로 규치셔지 가요르 아니야 셔르레스들이 바가스는 니션 진짜 니사사지 대통게자 티 강으로요 맞다 니셔르게 그래 나로 메망가로 동보 갑딜라 그리지 나서는 나로 다시 진짜 니가 갑토도 제일 아 네네 그 하고 문다 제마스 쿄니코 두달라데도 아니 사모토티 제마스 조니코요도 하고다 디디 인진 소소마치나 아니 커트 니가나 텔레라
Okay, and so yeah, so basically, okay, one of the things that can happen like during the meditation is that we can fall asleep very easily. So even if we think like that we can meditate for a long time, Geshe also like gave an example that he thought like, oh, I can meditate like for 2 hours, like there's no problem. But then like he realized that it's not really meditating, just like kind of falling asleep and not being very concentrated. So if you're sleeping during the meditation, if you're sleepy, this is not really meditation. So this is one of the things that we need to check, and it is like very kind of dangerous for meditation.
Oh, thank you. We could try it. Penny, it's Emma.
Dạ là ngã chị mẹ.
Ah,
Ngã chị qua mẹ.
try me. That's all good try me.
问题。chị qua
No.
mẹ.
Yes.
No, 没有。
没有抓。呀。你当我说等到这个你工作这个了，你写的有，但对了就说你接头呢，你做给俺们这几个，俺不，你可对呢，你工作你看了的，这个把了你玩呢，你个把也眼了，你这的，干嘛？刚才讲的是说你几个玩呢？你工作你要比嘛，给拍到也是，你工作你呢，你这的是不研究了的。你高要不就是的，你同学的语差不多下来是，偏比差，甚至了偏上去老你外呢，你同学的你语话都偏上，中间个性比差不多的。
So now we talked about the time of meditation, right? Like which time like we can meditate and which time we should meditate and so forth. So Geshe just said that so if we can, it would be very good if we can meditate in the morning and for example in the evening. If we are, for example, we are going to sleep at 9 o'clock, so if you can meditate before 9 o'clock for a few minutes, this is very good. And one of the reasons is that it will also bring benefit to our sleep. It will also help us sleep, like to get better. And also there is something which is called, like that a sleep is kind of, it also can be considered as kind of a mental factor, which is kind of being affected by other mental factors. So, for example, if before sleep, we have like this kind of mind which is wishing to benefit others, for example, so the sleep will also follow that, like it will be also affected by this kind of mind, and therefore it will also kind of become more virtuous, like the sleep itself. So this is something that we can remember.
Tati ni ngaza witonga jawa ta thana ta tombo chichi pe tongra ta chichi pe ya toni tani tanda yo je thawai na sensual motion ya bo chi ni je thawai na ta chichi ni ma chichi ni je tani go tani je tani den tani tru tani nga tani je tani sam tani ni tani chingza all ma tong to the rest the peto chumbi rest.
Okay, so now we talked about the meditation in terms of the counting the breath, right? So we talked about how like we count like 1, 2, this is 1, up until 11. So having reached to the point of 11, if we can like not to go like outside, like with our mind, or like not to lose the object of concentration. So it will be good if we can go from 11, like to kind of do reverse counting, like from 11 to 10, 9, 8, so forth. This is also a method that we can do.
That's 그리지네 모보 조 터이나 가르제나 가서 페도 가리야 되라. 다 단다다 저치미 단다 터이나 아니 니스타치 바야토. 저치미 니스타치 바야토. 요 터이나 니스타치미 니시 저거 저기 저데 아니 저트인데 그리지네 마토. 가서들 링죽도 비도스 야노 그지도 마오 그지라. 야노 그더니 나와도 도라.
So another kind of method that we can do is that we can count, if we are able to count up until 11, we can also to count, for example, up until 21. And if we can, from 10 to 21, we can still we still have the capacity, the capability in terms of like staying focused and so forth. So we can count from 21 back down, 21, 20, 19, 18, and so forth.
그리지네 때에 서서가 생각 가제서 벌써 무발라 지르문에 가제서 대 투시오미어도 이 동가 야속에 넣어서 하고 이래라. 나 대야 동아들의 동간 친구나 누마래 윤종군이 다 우리 만종게들 마이바 하마고니 만종게들 야 용게통아요. 야 용게들 만종게통. 만종게들 만종지오 하고 야 용게들 야 용시오 하고 그니 만나러 가지고 그래서 근데 돈 만나러 아니 고로 만나러 왔어. 하고서 돈 만나러 고로 만나 고로미나 만종게 돈 벌어 아니 야옹 그니 빠지러 어떻게 지니 정도 거로 만나러 봤지. 근데 지니 24시 정도는 이거 마셔도 또 근데 지니 가서 또 도와이는 그로 셈도 근데 야버지 미시오 따래라.
Okay. So what is the sign that our meditation is good? Like, what is the sign that our meditation is stable and good? Is that if if there are two mistakes or kind of faults that are being absent during the meditation. One is that we are confusing the breath that is going down with the breath that is going up. For example, if you are counting like one and like we think that it's like we kind of confusing the kind of order of the breathing in terms of counting. So it means that the meditation is not stable enough or not good enough. And if we are also being confused in the counting itself, for example, we count like 1, 2, 3, and then like 7, 8. So it's also a sign that the meditation is not good enough.
또 나타나 배나 나 띵스는 또 나서나 용종 거니 지사도 자도 그래서 거다지 거니도 그래서 내가 가시나 서 도바자 서는 다바래 말이지 나서라 다 지니서 접했으니 나서나 용종 거니 지니 섬스니까 리레 도와줘라.
Okay, so also what happens if you are mistaken, if you are confusing during the counting of the meditation, of the breathing? So we need to go from the beginning. If, like, for example, we reach 4 and then you're like, oh, did I reach 4 or 5? Like, what is it? This is not very good, like to have this doubt. So we just count from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, so forth.
다 아니 드리지니 몸보 가와들 페토카리 요레세 때리라. 페토카리 요레세 상노도 그래. 대체 지오주제되나 페토카리 요레세 상노도 디코 그래서.
So yeah, so what is the benefit basically of this meditation? This is something that we need to think about.
다비 맞수 페토카르 송요레나나 농그지 세는다 뭐다 제야지라. 더 드니 위야버디가. 위야버디나 다기 농그 위드도 세니보데 아니 코니 냠도 쳐도 만데 냠도 요레스 다기 가서 가서 질러이마 무 메시지도 공바 메시지 질러 무이여 바지 공바 메바지 마질러 공바여 바지 무 메바이나 무 메바도 공바여 바지 냠도 제와이나 아니 코니 지기지로 지는 저더라 비노제 롱러 무이여 말 공바여 요레스 시바텔라 무이여레디 공바여 말 디디 노도 시바니 냠르치니 아니 가사가 지게 그래라 그래서 동보티 무여사지도 공바여사지치라 마치라 무지여바지 마치라 공바지 그니 냠도 제니 로토라 이노제 롱도 나르토고 롱도 나르토고 시바지요라 되니 요나 지기지로 도네 롱도라 공바여레티 무여 말해라 딘다오드레스 시바테 무여레티 공바여 말레스 디데 다 무제도 공제니 보드냐도 차지니 아니 저번도 레스 디노지 시바도 루니 보드냐도 딘 아니 가사칼 트샤레스 디카터레스.
Okay, the long la pentogir.
롱 초로 마디와 시바 초로 말을 롱 초로 마디나 시바 초로 디 말레스.
Okay,
드니니 더 냠르 지키시레스.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about what is the benefit of this meditation, right? So if you are like kind of concentrate on like on the breathing, so the kind of the breathing or the kind of wind energy, so it's not like going everywhere, like it's very kind of focused and concentrated, and in the same manner our mind is also concentrated. So the example that Geshe gave is, for example, a person which has only eyes but no legs, and a person which has only legs but no eyes, so they can go together. So the person which has legs but no eyes can be considered as the breathing, which is being like more focused or more concentrated. This is like kind of the legs in terms of, we can also think about it like as the physical kind of aspect. And the one which has eyes but no legs, this is the mind, which has like the object, like can see, like has the object but doesn't have like legs, and in this sense also like doesn't have like the physical aspect. So if both are kind of breathing and both our mind are being concentrated, so they can go together and help each other. And yes.
드니지네 나서 단다텔라 상노치라 또한나 롱 로아노제 센디 드라로 르르니데레라 디네디 드네 나서 생고노 나자 천천 자위도 까모마 근데 까모 그 셈도 드네 군다니코 니코스로 말아제노 사본 동 Tani nyama yung jura, the someone la pay la. Gosh.
Okay, so just as our breathing, for example, is much more calm, like instead of being so if you like calm our breathing, so the mind will be like will follow it, like it will help the mind also to get calm and be more calm. So for example, it will also can help during our sleep if we like our breathing is much more calm and much more pacified. So also like during the sleep, yes, so we won't have like problems in terms of our mind and in terms of the dreams that we'll have and so forth. So it is kind of supporting each other, like having kind of calm breath. It also helps like to have kind of calm mind. These two are following each other.
Now, then also, then I dig on it. Yeah, good.
Natural breath, natural,
Yeah. So,
no, just
it's
natural. It's calm breath, natural breath.
And good. Natural.
Naturally, like breathing naturally.
This is calm breath.
Yeah.
She doesn't, if you just, by calm breathing, he means just breathing naturally.
אני קרן, אני בית תנדשק סמה, אני נאיג'תו קררה פעמים, לא צ'נה וקטנייתר, אני רנשינגי וקטנייתה, לא צ'נה וקטנייתר צ'יק פרפה סמנה ג'יגרפה.
then the also Nazajira. Send the Posoto, send Posoto Lara, Posoto Nakura, send Posoto Nini, Nikalika of Machine, we are Potomo, the negatives. Tangaso, Nogel no Hele, Chevadina, Tina, Nickel, Lumyabo, and Nick Gassejura, Nim Patsejura, Gurtetiapo, Sulenindes, Niet the Limere. Picasha resi, pica ni peto residere. Da the Tiniga Lung Sabat Malena, same to Lilin resi. Same to Lilina, Majadis,
Okay, so it didn't say exactly like about your answer, but in general, like what he said is that if our breath will be more calm, like with more calm. So, for example, if we have like the kind of narrow-minded problem, so it also like kind of affects like the kind of our heartbeats and so forth. So if we breathe more calmly, so our heartbeat will be kind of more stable, and in turn our mind will also be more calm. So I guess that in that sense, just kind of
Follow our natural breath. Yes.
yeah, I guess like
Yeah.
I guess that we can say like that.
The D. Karasinara. Maso Nika Tinik Nika Nasa Utomato Nazat Leajura. These cylinder Madame Tondam the Theory. Cylinder Matatere, a loom dam that you know the Jew Shura. Karasin sent to Shipa to Lungyam Shura, Mato Shipan to Maris, Lumen, Luna Tin Drum Shipan to Shipa the Luna Tin no Rani, Lunshi Solendam the Theory, Shipanda the Jura. Shipanda Madame Movure, Lumunda Movile. Lomada was near Shichi Tongares. Any near Bitok Shichi. The Otinas at the ladies. Did another long solo Chadina, Shibal Hello, Chinidere, Shibanda Madatina, Lundam the Lamer. And it only dinner, Nigacity Corta. Tadene, Negazeta, Lipotata Nideres. Lipotata Nine, same Tata name, Digilators.
Okay. So yeah, maybe it will be more clear if I'll explain it now as Geshe explained. So it is kind of both the breath, like the kind of the life energy, the wind. So both the breath, both our mind, and also like our heartbeat. So these are all connected in the sense that, for example, if you are like breathing very heavily and like not very in a kind of organized manner, I don't know really how to put it into words. So if we'll have that, so it will also like will make our mind like think like kind of very random thoughts and like go all over the place like with different thoughts, and it will also increase the kind of our heartbeats. So if we just kind of, for example, if we calm our breath, so in turn it will also help our mind to calm down. These two are coming together. If our mind is more calmed down, so our heartbeats will be also like more kind of organized and more organized. How would you say it?
Regular.
Yeah, more regular. So these three like are affecting each other. So this is like the relationship between having calm breath, having calm mind, and also like that the heartbeat will not be so fast and not regularly.
The me did it. 군달라 세나고 니하고 마커라. 니하 마커나 예치미치 도도진들이 제거 말해. 이사는 백공일 공일 야라바데 샤니니 아니 스저거 위텔라 상로도 아니다. 아니 스스 ዝ보도마 렐레잖니 니 야부카 개버 열려다.
So basically, for example, if we take our sleeping, if you are not able to sleep well, so we don't have like to sit like this and meditate. We can also like to put a hand below our head, like while sleeping, and kind of just focusing on the breath, and it can help very much in terms of being more calm down and for sleep as well.
아니 배나 나로 전지 제대라. 아니 차셰니 다지 동아지가 탔다. 메시지가 있다. 다 세금은다 마다 위나 마다 또아니 티 타시다지 안게 팔로다. 다티 소노마토네 코 타시데노 데 코스 멤버가 티 북즈 제구다. 디스서 그 울헬루 제도데 코 타시냠보 레고도. 니테 몸부 타제도. 코스 메코노더라 타제도. 디디 그 롱야보 디우티셀루 디디 코 타기 시도 그레르 다달레데라. 다 하제 윈다마다 세나다마다 노토다마다 제 루시 집디오디 타시 집도다. 디디 그 탈로에 파라 아니 가서 다가 롱스 제대요래. 근데 탈로 파야 시집벌레니 고인카 라와진도 두속간가다 롱도 제대요래. 디디 가서 롱들라 단제 제도나 타시가 나자도 조레 페도 전부도라.
So yeah, another example that Geshe gave. So for example, he gave like from his own experience, like this is something that he kind of experimented. So for example, if you're measuring your blood pressure, so if your breath is very heavily and you're also like thinking all kind of conceptual thought and you have like all this kind of random thoughts, so it also affects directly on the blood pressure, that the blood pressure will be in turn much more high. So, and also if like your breath is much more regular and much more calm down, and also your thoughts are not that random and very stable, and you have calm mind, so it also in turn affects the the blood pressure not to be that high, but to be more regularly and stable.
Geshe said at the beginning, before the meditation, that we shouldn't change the breath. We should just like use it the way it is. But now it sounds like he tells us to calm down our breath. Or do I misunderstand something here?
אני קום גוני אקסון גימסן ברלסנה אני טנקו אני קרן אני סוסו אוקטניה תה רן פאפסו אוקטן גורל מאטו אני גיורטון גיו מרל ג'פוס סונסו אני טנטה אני קרן קרסון גיורסנה אני תה אוקטניה תה אני קרסי תה תנג'ינה אני תה גיורטון גוני אקסון
동보가 딜라이바 이제 시점부터 어떤 동아요 말했어. 동보 그런 남긴 말아서 위지카테 로션 딜선도 왔다 선도 되고 그랬어. 딜선도 되와이나 그 윌힐 진이 되레스. 남긴 말아서 수소 위 렌토 몽고 이랬어. 저기 동동아부터 공부도 되는 말에. 피디 수소 그 위카티 로션 남긴 나자제도 동보시야 동시레스. 지마다 지지나가 나레스. 이네 동보시야 노제들라.
Samboshani, so namgin chena?
남지 진다 거로 위카티 로는 딜선도 그랬어. 더 많이 가서 나자들 레디 그래서 나자들이야 위시침벌레 칼리카티 위시침벌레 하지도 디디 누구 말이야.
Okay, so basically what Geshe meant is that we need to, like each one has its kind of own pace of breathing. Like it's not like that we all of us has like the same pace of breathing. But for you, for example, if the pace of breathing is as such, so this is the manner in which you should breathe. And for example, if you are like just when you have like doing kind of pain or kind of disease or like kind of whatever like you have so whatever you have, so if this is not the regular, this is not like kind of the natural state in which you're usually breathing, so this one you should kind of be aware of it and to transform it into the natural way in which you're breathing regularly. This is the meaning.
When practicing concentration, how much effort should we put? Like how hard should we try to be concentrated?
아니 그래서 아니 신이 겁니다. 이면 인진 단델베 아니 겁냐면 치기를 갑소. 아니 그래서 아니 센스틱도 네야텔라. 그래서
그래서 gap 같은 체거래, 그래서 gap 거래, 배춘 같은 체거래, 이
됐어, 깔리까지 그래서.
좀 칸데스 치고레테 망루
몰리, 내가 딱히 동본에 마치 시세래. 다 소소 제니 검난다. 다 빙인세 검바트 제니 검바 일어. 싫어 검바트 한도 검바 일어. 다 군이 됐지 켜버려. 대대 소소 걸릴 걸리 마카. 생고 지타타 미토나 같이 제레리. 대오 냐마타파 코 마소카르나 스튜디 치모 겐더. 다테 야고 지마라. 비지요래. 신라 리지다 난가마라 미동고라 미동나 셰브리 빠네 미동고다 미 리지네 코 셰들라 드레레 그래라 드레레니 아니 저 차보도 레니 아니 밀레 그래라 근데 밀레 와달라 제한다 리지네 제고라 마다 아니 디즈다 요 헬로지니 소죠 요요 헬레체디나 코 미드 레터 말레스 다 정도 들이 소요 디노제 가서 지니 감비티오 니마 타파가 저로 마치니 te ta jerembo maina te nyama tapa gano te pache da chinila jininguni to leto ta kapa mindo ti na ngo sen jwa te do rela.
Okay, so basically what Geshe said, he more emphasized the kind of the consistent way in which we should conduct our practice, the meditation practice. So he also said that, so first what he said is that concentration meditation, it should be understood as shamatha meditation. And special insight meditation should be understood as wisdom meditation. It's not directly related to what Anu said, but this is what Geshe said. So, and also, so we should meditate, and when we feel like that, up until like we feel that our mind is kind of stable and our body does not have much difficulties. Like this is what Geshe said. I'm not sure like whether it's kind of answering directly. But also like what Geshe mainly emphasized, he gave an example. So before, like a lot of years ago, so when people wanted to lit fire, they wanted to have fire, so they have like this kind of two stones, right? Which they kind of rubbed each other up until kind of spark or like kind of a heat were created, and then they could make fire. So in the same manner, not in the same manner, but if we just, for example, we'd rub like these two stones and then we'll do a break, so no spark and no heat will arise, right? So if you make breaks, like after a while, it will not arise. So in the same manner, our meditation should be conducted and performed like that. So if you are just like kind of meditating for one day, and then like after one day, like we are not meditating, and then 2 days we are meditating, and one day we are not meditating, and 3 days and week we are not meditating, like that, we won't have a result. This is like the bottom line of what Geshe tried to say. So Geshe said that there is no certainty like with regards to like when this kind of accomplishment of the shamatha meditation will come or not, but definitely like this is the way in which results should be obtained with regards to our practice.
아니 나로 рат니 신나로 아니 단다 조킹하고 진짜 제바다 제가 벌레 차제롱들 님 봐봐 요리 저기 차제로 진짜 제바다 이제 비쳐 벌로 이걸로 그때 거기니 다 빠체거마 지 니스가 되는 템버진 데도 이나 다다 저러 데모도 이나 또 녀마치 다 지니 말았어 르니 섬들이라마 베서져서이라 이나 릴하버지도 빠체 용이 사마레 이나 용화 텐데레 샤도 가르즈나 니게 셈다 네말라타티 디소펜저와 카메나메 도사샤라
Gyura Joson.
ngalin jawab pedo shas ina onda jeni koroto tamni tadale masoti ina yung jawab tede dula.
Okay, so Geshe gave the example of himself. So he says that on a daily basis from 4 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. so he meditates. So actually I don't know if he said like this during this half hour like he totally meditates or not, but during this half hour like he's practicing meditation like while this half hour. So in this half hour, like while he's meditating, so he says like he can also give the example of himself that this is not that so easily he can like meditate and stay focused on the object like for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or something like this. Also for him, like for 1-2 minutes, more than that, it's very difficult for him to stay focused and to stable his mind upon the object. However, there is still benefit because if he's comparing the improvement, if he's comparing the level in which he is now in comparison to the level in which he was before, like 2-3 years or something like this, there is definitely improvement. So he says that this is definitely the way in which we should like carry the meditation practice and in which the result eventually will be obtained. Whether it means that for now I have like the shamatha achievement or not, this is another topic. But definitely this is the way in which gradually things should be developed.
Yamba.
Another question?
The legs, the legs.
Yeah, what about the next?
How it's right to put them.
אני נצא. כמה פשטן kanjas yakber.
Yadang, tanda nga su ngande de chido ane de chido. Tala nga su che kitawar. Kitaw china kumba nindigo ne jaatil. Tanda, ijido. Tino ji che goshore di nga su che to mares. Ra, ina tanda nga su tino ji che dine riri. Tete kap gyoti te su tas. Temi na kiro kapchango dini ko zubu tomu che dine riri. Ni parta, dili de to na yapo yore di na. Dili chi de to mara.
Doji kiljum.
Dele de ji kitawar. Tanda nga su tala che kitawar. Cheka. 이 가서 배방 가서 못이 안 들이지 되기도. 어떻게 대마도나 주로 겁당 거야 되니 좀 치면 돼. 안 들이지 되나. 지대 장방 거 뭐야. 지대 장방 거 겁당 되는데. 어디 되는 데가. 지대 장방 거 하고.
Ale,
잠깐만.
kogiala shapigla,
어디.
shugir.
거야 겁당 되대요 그래서. 들이지 돼요 그래서. 아니 길에서 차트게도는 야 롱인들이 돼요 그래서. 또 이렇게 가리나 싫어 내가 지어서 말해라.
Okay, so in general, Geshe said that it's not really matter like in terms of how legs are being put. And this is just in general, because he also gave the example of Buddha Maitreya. So if you're familiar with Buddha Maitreya, so he's like kind of literally sitting, like kind of sitting on a chair, like if you saw like the posture in which he's posited, so our legs are like just sitting. I can send picture after if you don't have it right now in your mind. So this, for example, how he's kind of sitting or the body posture of him, and also for Chenrezig. So for Chenrezig, also the body posture in which he's posited is just standing up. So therefore, Geshe said that most probably this is not that matter. This is not like the most important thing. However, like for example, if you can sit like Buddha Shakyamuni like this, yeah, like in the lotus posture, this is like the best. If we cannot, we can also sit like this, like the Tibetans are sitting, just like cross-legged like this, but not that our leg is like right here, or that the other leg is just like here, not in the full lotus position, but kind of in the half lotus position, just like this, like, and we sit like this.
It's just getting numb sometimes. So it's probably some nerves here that's supposed to be out. It's my question. Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Ani kongi tiwa tiko kudyumta dekaresa na ni kong samsona ni tende deto ni kongi kampa ani bir dogira ani de me pasa kanjes.
저런데 이게 비노다티 강 갈릴리 강고래 마도 니데도 근데 나서도 지나 뭐 데디들이 kumbayo pa 저용들이 지금 자트네 뭐 제게 이 갈릴리 강 다당가도 지는 데나 같이 젤랑한 데나 에나세요 말에 제 이 갈릴리 강나라 용으로 마도 로살로서 용말에 이미야 저러서 겁자고 되는 데를 한데들이 돼도 이제 잠바고 보세요. 근데 딱히 가서 딱히 뜻이에 대해서 기초성 쓰서 디자르마도 지동 이번 드리지나 르르여레스 라코로드리지네 아니 갑자기 데도 아니 저렇고 퍼먼트서 디죠 칼리카이나 용도스치니 니소죠 아니 데스에서 릴콜리 메바지죠 그래서 나이나 아니 칼리 강고 레마도 돈보니 릴라고 용말라 인들이 되는데 돼요.
So this is the picture of Jesun Jampagonpo, which is also known as Maitreya. So yeah, this is like an example of how he said. So therefore, Geshe said that basically like he didn't manage to finish what Geshe said like before. You asked once again, but yeah, we can also, for example, if we cannot sit like this and it's too hard and it's too painful, so basically we need that our body will be okay, like we'll be well. So we can also sit on a chair, there's no problem. And he also said that this is not that easy. This is not like that at first, like we'll sit like this and that it will be very kind of nice or very good to the body in terms of like the feeling and so forth. Like we need to habituate ourselves with this kind of sitting posture. And slowly, we can develop and we can increase the time in which we are sitting like this, and our body will not feel that kind of ache or in pain. And Geshe said for himself that now he can sit for 4 hours like this and he has no problem. So this is something that we just need to develop, like during the practice. And this is not like something that very easily will come. We just need to habituate our body to it. Okay?
Remember?
So other question? But something that
No, with the now.
yeah, I told him like
Yeah, because for example, with the knee, is true, I'm over. Maybe it will come back because the pain coming back sometimes. But with the now, it depends, I think, how you're sitting. Sometimes you have some nerves here that maybe you sit on the nerve, then actually one leg and does not feel it. And I don't want to move during the meditation.
nasa ni kon ya ni kampa biria tanjelbe ani tiwa shigyo kani sana ni kongi sampala karere sana ni kong biria gigim sente karere ni kongi sampala ni kong ate ketong na kandi sa goyome na tente meina te nasola pena ni nasol lepane nasol datak tonken kandi sa gore datak tonken te yorpa te naso lupo chasang la yore ani kongi sampala karere sana ni kong ani datak tonken te ani yakpo madepa impesangsa ani te chungiore
Lepa kati data te yapachi matong are se te pachi inamina tenga yapachi go sama so
mare te kupa japo nasola lupo chasang la kupa japo
yore tenga go so
ani kupa dila yakpo madep
ti me bi chenji ni kumba trejo le se ko ti la tera tenga tiki ina ko maso yona maso komshi me ina tenga ko maso la tera jijina ti isba chi le se no ni maso sen ya ko mani ne sen le ya ko mani na ko lepa la ni da jemba tong sha le se lepa la da jemba tong jeji kumba la trejo te ni yong sei chi le tenga ya pachi go tsemi la
la soina te na yakpo gyurtu machangona te nasola sa japo ni kupa shempa yang yor.
jemba di da jangge
Te datang ke ina ni kongi sampala te lepa tanjelwa yamare te suso detang tanjelwa yore. Te sengi kengi mare.
nga sanarwa lepa ton dra yo mare la kuresi so ko ti kamshi ton dra yo la kuresi kamba yo ra pena nga so papa ina dri mas nga man dri ma to de mare ti ka te so tares kyo ina mochia kapcha go dira siti go de kapcha go de dri ma de ta dri te ki te kamshi me ka nga sana kamshi ki kere te do la da
So basically what Geshe says is that it is more related to one's habit. Like Tibetan people are habituated like to sit like this and they have no problem. For us Westerners, when we sit like this, we have problems basically because we are not habituated to this kind of body posture. So this is the main reason for which this kind of thing arises. This is according to Geshe explanation. This is what he thinks.
ina ta choro ta che to darwa tni chini te ze deni nani ni ya lelo che yong tni deni le ka sinyemi tni de ma to te ina yong ani kapjang go ji yo na te to kan de chini ina chu ton de job te te se thola na china che par do da ni di job da de to ko re ko to te te do.
Okay, so another thing that Geshe said is that we need to examine also by ourselves. Like we need to sit and then we need to see like how it is, and if it's too much, so we can stand up and we can just kind of relax. Also, one thing that Geshe said is that we can put a cushion behind our back, so it will kind of make our back a bit more up, so it will also can help us. And yes, this is basically what he said. So there is other question. Okay, so we'll do right like that, 4:30. So we haven't reached like to go to the text. So your ideas and your way of thinking is very, very good. Thank you very much. Geshe is saying.
지 추킬레 말레도 드리케자 말레스로와 요 추킬레나요 지 농비 추킬레 말레 케자 말레스 가르스나 또 가서 리디포 셈디포 지고알라 아니 가서 지 랍자도 가서 레요 지 다산지도 또 소고 말랍자노라다 저절 마시데 되게 소소로 페바이나 아니 코치 이메 케자요 마서도 라레타나 디레스 그래서 마페바이나 뭐가 자샤나 디레라.
Okay, so basically we gather here like for the reason of being happy, like and for the reason of the well-being both of our body and both of our mind. And this is not sort of thing of like kind of whether we are like accepting religion or not, whether we are like Buddhists or not, and so forth, what kind of religion we are belong to. This is not that kind of thing. Basically, Buddha Shakyamuni, like teaching that he gave is in order like to benefit our well-being, like both of our mind and both of our body. So we can think about it in the following terms. So if there is benefit of what has been said or in the advice or the teaching of the Buddha and the teaching of the Dharma, so we can take it. This is good. Whether we are like Buddhists, not, whether we accept religion or not, we can take it if there is benefit. If there is no benefit, we can just put it aside.
아니 다 저도 야와람지 다가 야와람지라 디가 송다 인지케 무무도 되니 송서 무무도 또 솔로티 야와람지 그 감여통도 되니 정식이 생검도 수시고 송유레스 이데 라마코로 냐뉴 여비토니 마셰바티 다티 송잠발렌딜라타 노비존 컨드레이카 니 랍자농게라 코노제 요마레 디디 콜베도 좀 ngarodo이나이 자체 디종종로 되요라.
So also Geshe mentioned His Holiness the Dalai Lama, like all the scriptures and the books that he wrote about meditation. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is one who is really endowed with experience, not just like someone who has no experience with regard to the subject matter, but really has direct experience of these things. And Geshe said that also for himself, this is very beneficial, and he's reading it like, he's reading it regularly, the text which were composed by His Holiness about these things.
그 달릴라마 선전하요 그 지 샤자자 테파지 그 이치제 테파지 했더니 저서 제마도 나니 버터기야지요 말에 소소금은다 그 소소를 러뷰티게 지도 지 럽서와 지금 그게 지래서 아니 드리지니 손노토니 그거 송한테 문이 돈 소소 대도 만데 대도 만지 소소 제버지니 아니 드리지나 소소 냐스래 다 고마레스도 고지 자샤나오 네가지요 말라.
Okay, so also Geshe said that we don't have like to generate faith like towards His Holiness, or we don't have like to consider him as holy or something like this. We can also just consider him as one who we receive teachings from, or one who we can gain studies and knowledge from. And then we can examine by ourselves whether what His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, like whether it's like it makes us happy or that it doesn't make us happy, like whether it has benefits towards whether I have benefit from it or not. So we can also think about it like this.
아니 대요 상지 잡데니 상지 샤자만이 그요 결혼 정리기 시엘라들라 예버지쇼스 또 가서 사녀와도시 사제다스 기노다가 기노지세 예버지쇼 소요레 마도 니가 손나도 결혼 속다가로 이시제 필레제고제 잔 소요 말했어 디노제레 지름버체기요 아니 루파동가 있다 kil레죠 말아 루피게 버체쇼 아니 자르버체가 같이 예나 아니 가르스나 가서 싫어법교동 주도 넘지지 싫어법교동 고세네 개버체쇼 같이는 대송되요스 이데 코로코 송리 개버체쇼래 상지 잡된 대송리 개버체쇼래 정말 개버체나 아니 수술로 배도이 치야요레스.
Okay, so what Geshe said is that also Buddha Shakyamuni himself, so he also had this quote of all monks and scholars, just like gold is burned, cut and rubbed, examine my words well, and then accept them, not just out of faith. So it means that we really need to examine it, and not just like kind of faith, just what Buddha has said, so this is true and I need to receive it. And also Jetson Kappa, he also said that we need not just to accept the teachings out of faith, but out of examining, like by employing reasoning, we should examine the teachings, like how they are and how they not. And also His Holiness the Dalai Lama says it a lot of times, that's just like the same manner that Buddha has said and Jetson Kappa has said. So, and that there is also much more benefit if we'll accept it and not out of faith, but really we'll try to examine it and try to employ reasoning. And then we can accept it and see like whether it's really beneficial or not, whether it's true or not. This has a much greater benefit other than just like this is true because this is what he said and so forth. So this is the attitude we need to adopt with regards to the teaching.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Your question? No. Nicola Trape over here,
Go to Zoom, please.
Actually,
You close the Zoom. I want to see if you do it correctly.
Как я говорю, why do we need to close this up?
Let's finish the meeting.
Ah, okay. How do you do it?
Cái là chơi không?
다시 들래.
다시 들어가요.
Japo.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. 주치채나.